Please come up top to everybody.
All right, everybody, it's race day. And we're up here for the fan walk. Cool thing that Trans Am does, lets everybody come check out the cars, and I'm just gonna walk you down it. Got Justin Marks from Trackhouse, Paul Menard, and all kinds of stuff. Dyson, last year's champion, with his teammates. I guess Forrest is way back here. So Forrest said in that challenger, David Pinteric, Amy Ruman. All kinds of crazy stuff. Tommy Dreesy, movie producer. And then back to the GT cars. Oh, that's right. Okay. So you can see we lead the class of all the different GT cars. Well, we're actually second. The XGT cars are ahead of us, or one XGT car is ahead of us, and they're the most extreme of the GT classes. But yeah, all kinds of fun stuff to get wrapped up into today. Take you guys along for the ride. All right, well, they have cleared off all the fans. See, everybody's getting ready, getting their drivers strapped in, getting ready for the start command. And then it's time for us to go racing. Well, for Lee to go racing. 3 minutes. They're giving me the 3-minute warning for cranking. And I'm actually gonna go over to a different spot today. Leave Dylan and Eddie on pit road for them to handle the pit road duties. I'm gonna go spot from a grandstand that has the best view of all of the track. It's a new grandstand that I haven't been up on, but Drew was here earlier in the year for another event with Lee and said it was a really good spot. So I'm gonna ride over there and check that out. So yeah, we'll bring you guys some clips from that spot, but we do have the roof cam on board with Lee again, and hopefully there's only good action on there. I'll leave it at that. Well, I found my new spot. But I forgot my big camera. It's in the golf cart. But you get to watch it from this spot right here. They're taking the green right now. So by about, you know, the halfway point of this first lap, Lee's worked back to second in the SGT class, and we are, I think, 5th overall in the combined GT classes. So, you know, we're not really competing with this Audi that's in front of us. We're competing with the Corvette that is ahead of this Audi. And all of these cars have sequential gearboxes. And it just, one of the things that sequentials do is they typically don't miss gears. Now, they do break sometimes, and they're a very expensive transmission, you know, somewhere around 20 grand for a sequential transmission setup. But at this point, I'm talking with Lee, you know, reminding him it is a long race. We have 26 more laps to go to catch the Corvette and get up there and try and race with them and try and pass them. So as you may could have figured out from that last little clip there from outside the car, I just took the 4K footage from the GoPro and tried to zoom in. I don't know if my editing software clipped it down out of you know, non-HD quality. I don't know. Definitely kind of bummed that I forgot the big camera and left it in the golf cart on pit road. But just gonna do the best with what we can for these clips. You can see the Corvette out there in front of Lee, and at this point I've kind of told him just to settle in and be smooth. We don't want to overheat the tires too early, because if we use them up now, we won't have them under us at the end of the race when we may need them most. So I know there's going to be cautions. There's always usually 1 or 2 cautions during these races. So even if we just maintain this gap, we get a caution, we're right back on his bumper, and then we can fight to pass them without having to work super hard in making up this gap. It's not out of the ordinary for, you know, the cars in each class to gap out, or to get, you know, a couple of seconds gap between them, and then as one car fades, or even one driver fades, you know, the gaps change, or the driver makes a mistake, or there's all kinds of things that make these longer road races, you know, very interesting to watch and follow along with. But we're just kind of, you know, probably at a 85-90% pace right now, just to make sure we keep the Corvette in sight, because we know there's going to be a caution. Well, I can't really say we know there's going to be a caution, but we have a pretty good idea there's going to be a caution. So we're just going to try and keep tabs on him. I'm telling Lee about the gap between him, you know, looking at it on the scoring monitor. And I'm standing in that grandstand right there, and I see the Corvette all of a sudden slow down. They broke. Well, at this point, we've already put a good distance between some of the other SGT class cars that were behind us. So we went from, you know, needing to maintain a really fast, you know, an 85 to 90% pace, and now I'm on the radio with Lee just being like, hey, we can back this thing down a little bit more just to make sure we take it easy on the car. We don't want to push over the edge and say there ends up being a little bit of oil or dust on the track and we're right on the limit, and then that ends up putting us off out into the grass or potentially the wall. So I'm kind of like, let's, you know, my advice as a crew chief is let's back this thing down a little bit and bring the car home and bring home the win. So basically that's what we do for, you know, the race until we get a caution. All right, well, we had a caution for a car blowing a tire and making a mess of a corner. So everybody's bunched up. They're getting ready to come to green right now. You just got the green? I took my sunglasses off because they were giving me a headache, so now I'm squinting out here. But let's see if Justin Marks can hold on to the lead in TA. Basically, we've just got to ride around.
So I had to step in and do a voiceover here because you really couldn't hear me with the cars going in the background. But basically, the other cars in our class have broken, and we're out there just riding around because we have to complete more than half the laps to get full points. Up front at the TA race is a really good race between Justin Marks, Matt Brabham, Chris Dyson, Paul Menard, and Boris Said. All those guys are really hustling it up front in their class, and even still you can see they kind of gap out a little ways between all the different cars. So we had another caution later in the event for, I think, 2 cars getting together and making a little bit of a mess of another corner, and they had to go clean all that up. But this is, you can see a restart. We've let the Audi back in front of us, primarily because we're not really racing him for a position in our class, so no reason to hold him up. And there were some corners that he was getting through a little better than we were, so Lee was kind of following and learning some stuff from him, but gave us kind of a rabbit to chase, or gave Lee a rabbit to chase without having to, you know, just ride around out there by himself, just putting away the laps to bring home the win. But you can kind of see how a restart goes from, you know, towards the back of the pack in the GT cars, and it doesn't really take all that long for the TA class cars and the XGT cars to kind of run away from us a little bit. The TA class cars are full tube chassis, really big wheels and tires. They make 850 plus horsepower. Some of them have sequential gearboxes, some of them have H patterns. Depends on which weight break they want to get or not get for the car. Depends on if they feel like, you know, the sequential is worth the weight penalty. But they are really, really fast, and they will get around Sebring, I believe, in the 205 range, 204, 205 range. I'd have to look back. But our best laps have been in the 210, 211 range in really good weather, and when we really got the car good on point. For this race, I believe we maintained about a 2-minute 15, 2-minute 16 lap pace, which is certainly not a tough pace for the Viper to achieve. But that's what we had to do to get the win, so that's what we did. And by this point in the race, even if the car were to break, we would still be the winners of our class, because the other cars that were in our class broke and quit making laps, so there would be no way for them to even fix their cars and get back on track to complete more laps than we did. We actually did start to develop a power steering problem. You can see maybe a little drip here or a dull spot on the screen of the GoPro. So that's something we've got to get addressed before the next race. Figure out, we'll probably just swap the power steering pump, maybe add an additional cooler to give it some extra cooling capacity so that we don't have a problem with the car at New Orleans in a couple of weeks. A few of you have noticed how bumpy the track at Sebring is, and that is kind of what Sebring is known for. This track was a World War II, some kind of bomber training base. And the front stretch and the back stretch are part of one of the original runways, and they eventually made a racetrack out of it. And there's a ton of history at Sebring. I encourage you guys to go look into some of that. And it is the location of one of the most famous endurance races in the world, the 12 Hours of Sebring, and we are happy to be able to come race here.
Well, I came back over to pit road for the last couple of laps. Checkered flag. We didn't really have any pressure around us, and Lee should be coming through in just a second. He's got the only V10. Actually, no, the Mercedes might have a V10 too. But very unique sound for the Dodge Viper. And we got us another win.
Taking his fourth career win of the season.
So looking like we're finishing 9th overall in the whole entire race out of, it's like 23. So that's pretty cool. First in the SGT class. I hear him. Maybe he's on the back stretch. There he is.
Get a hat, please.
All right, off the podium. All right, well, we're getting ready for the podium. Lee's a little gassed because his cool shirt box quit working. So we got to get that fixed. But what do you think of Trans Am, Eddie?
It was fun. I was nervous. I was kind of inexperienced at the beginning, but all I want to say is all the Trans Am races I've been to, we've won. Can't say the same about Drew. That's all I want to say. That's all I want to say.
That's a little dig at both of us. That's a little dig at the both of us.
That's a big dig.
What can I say, you know?
Ah, Drew, you're not here. But you get to do NASCAR now, so that's cool too. Anyways, we're gonna video the podium deal, and then we're getting back on the road and getting home. It's hot, and I want to go swimming somewhere. Yeah, that sounds like a really good way to end this day.
After that race, you guys need that $50. Seems like all your cars are breaking. First in Super GT, that beautiful Dodge Viper in his home state. So if you're from Florida, you better get loud for Lee Saunders. Jump on up. Yeah. Okay. So second, look, John is telling me what happened. Second and third did not complete enough laps to deserve a step up here. So you're up here all by your lonesome, Lee. How's it feel?
Really good. It was obviously really hot out there today. Cool shirt quit before we pulled out, so I was ready to see this one done. Unfortunately, Larry and Kaylee couldn't finish. They were really doing well. Hate that for them. Wanted to see them out there, obviously. So, but really thank you to my team, Kevin Smith, everybody, Dylan and Eddie. Thanks for their help this weekend, and thanks for tuning in for putting on a fantastic race.
I love it. Let's hear it. Lee Saunders and that beautiful SGT Dodge Viper. Used to being on the top step here at Sebring International Raceway. And how about a hand for Sebring International Raceway? All their enhancements. I love coming here year after year.
That's going to wrap up this
Seems
video.
like they make a ton of enhancements.
Appreciate everybody
for
watching,
you, the
subscribing.
spectators. I love
See you
that.
guys
Lee
next time.
Saunders.